Okay, hello guys, welcome to another video. Now this video will be looking at global warming, and I'm going to text it right here. Global warming, right? No, the world is getting warmer because even when you ask some teachers or you ask older folks, they'll say that the sun wasn't as hot as it is now. So many countries, right, they begin to see different changes in their weather, right? And it's normally quite unexpected. And it can also threaten the economy and it can threaten the lives of their people. Now, rising temperatures, they have been described as the greatest environmental threat the world will face in the 21st century. So, while nearly everyone is accepting that global warming is taking place, right? There are there are different theories why it is happening, right? So whether the rising temperature is natural or man-made, and what, if anything, can be done to stop it, right? So in the 20th century, right, the average global temperatures it rose from zero point 0.6 degrees Celsius, and most of this increase has taken place in the last 40 years, right? Now, let's just explain the whole process of it. So first we'll be starting with the greenhouse effect, right? The greenhouse effect. Right? So global warming is as a result, right, of the greenhouse effect. In order for the greenhouse effect to take place, you have some greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases, right? So some greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide. These are the main ones. Carbon dioxide, right? And this is the most damaging greenhouse gas, right? And it's normally produced by road vehicles and by burning fossil fuels in power stations, factories and homes, and deforestation and the burning of rainforests. It can also release carbon dioxide in the air. Then you have chlorofluorocarbons, or CFC, right? Chlorofluorocarbons, right? Nitrous oxide, right? This is another one. Nitrous oxide. Now this is normally produced by car exhausts, right? Power stations and fertilizers, because of course you know that some fertilizers contain nitrogen, right? And nitrogen helps with the making of protein, right? So the nitrogen, sometimes when they have the fertilizer in the soil, at times what happen is that you'd have leaching, in which the rain would fall and it would seep or percolate into the soil, and then it would run off into the rivers or into other water bodies and can cause eutrophication, right? Right. So when this happens now, the water that contains this this gas, dissolved gas, it can evaporate, and when it evaporates, of course, it would go into the air, right? Another one is methane, right? Methane. Now, this is released from plants and animals, right? So when they die, and from farms, right? Especially from those rice paddy fields. Now, swamps, landfill sites, and animal dung. right? So domestic animals such as cows also give off a lot of methane as they eat, right? So these are the different greenhouse gases. Now I'm going to be looking at the greenhouse effect, explaining the greenhouse effect, right? Right? So the greenhouse effect, right, is the trapping, oh, put it right here, the trapping of heat within the Earth's atmosphere. So it's a trapping of heat within the atmosphere. And of course, I would like to add it a little, give it a little spice and say with the presence oh, of greenhouse gases, example, carbon dioxide. So this is a very simple definition for greenhouse effect. And greenhouse gases, these are the gases that trap heat within the Earth's atmosphere. So greenhouse gases are the gases that trap heat within the atmosphere. Now, the Earth is surrounded by a layer, right, of gases, right? So it's surrounded by a layer of gases in the atmosphere, right? Now, during the day, right, the Earth is warmed by the heat from the sun's rays, right? So say this is the Earth. Let me clear that. Say this is the Earth, right? And let me put it in a different color. And this is the layer, right? No, in the daytime, the Earth is warmed by the heat from the sun's rays, right? But this heat is normally lost back out into space by radiation at night. Now, greenhouse gases keep the Earth warm by stopping some of the radiation leaking out of the atmosphere. Now, some of these gases are natural, for example, from volcanic eruptions, and it can also be man-made, combustion, and all of those things, right? So they reflect the heat back in the same way as the greenhouse, letting heat in but preventing it from escaping, right? So we need the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is a positive thing. However, when it gets out of control, it's a negative thing. All right, so I'll be demonstrating by the use of arrows. I'll be using the color black, right? So incoming, right? So this is the incoming rays from the sun. Oops, let me. All right. No, these are the incoming rays from the sun, right? The incoming rays from the sun. Now I'm going to be a little so say this is the sun. We all know how the sun is. So this is just a little representation of the sun, right? So that's the sun up there. Good. And these are the rays. These are the rays of the sun. These are coming from the sun. Now I'm going to pretend that this is the layer, of gases. Layer of gases, right? So that blue line, this blue line right here, is what you call the layer of gases, right? No, the layer of gases which contain methane, chlorofluorocarbons, nitrous oxide, right? All of those greenhouse gases. No, when the heat, you have incoming radiation coming from the earth, from the sun. So it passes directly, and it would pass directly through the natural greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So it goes directly through that layer. Then what would happen is that the Earth's surface is warm. So this is the Earth. EA R, right. This is the Earth. The Earth's surface is warmed, right? No, let me use a different color. No, the outgoing radiation, however, the heat, it would pass through the greenhouse gases, except infrared, fancy word, except infrared over here, right? So that's what I mean by infrared. Except infrared, right? Infrared. Ugh. Except infrared, yes. Right? Radiation, which is either absorbed by greenhouse gases, trapped beneath them, or it can be reflected back into the earth, onto the earth's surface. Let me go over that again. Now, when the incoming rays come from the sun, right, it passes directly through this layer of gases, right? When it passes directly through these layer of gases, then the earth is warmed. The earth's surface is warmed. Now, the outgoing radiation, the heat, which passes through the gases, right? All of it passes, well, some of it passes through the gases. Smaller arrows here. Except the infrared radiation, right? Which is either absorbed by the greenhouse gases, meaning that you feel it right here, they will be absorbed here, or it would be trapped, beneath them and reflected, as I showed right here, reflected back onto the Earth's surface. So therefore, you'd have warming of the Earth's surface once again. No. The next step is that some heat would escape back onto space, right? So these are the arrows. I'll explain the arrows, right? So some heat escapes back into space, right? So CO2 from humans, CO2 is carbon dioxide, by the way. So carbon dioxide from humans and animals, and it's also taken by trees. Oxygen is given by trees, and oxygen is used by animals and humans. Now there is normally a balance, right? Now, as I said before, some heat would escape into space. However, because of what's happening in this layer of gases, then you'd have an increase in those gases because they're trapped. And because you have combustion, let me use a different color. Oh, let me just text it. Because of combustion, respiration, which is a natural cause, right? Deforestation, because of methane release, right? Between plants and animals, right? When they die, methane release. Because of all of these, right, there would be an increase in the layer of greenhouse gases. So this is normally due to human activity, right? Now, what would happen? Because there is an increase in the greenhouse gases, what would happen? Let me use pink to show this one, right? What would happen when there's an increase in these layer of gases, right? The outgoing radiation, from the outgoing radiation that is being reflected, right, back onto space, it would not pass through this layer of gas. So less heat would escape. Let me go again. Now, when the outgoing radiation, right, when it goes through this layer of gas, little escapes and goes into space. Therefore, it would allow the heat to be reflected or radiated back onto the earth, resulting in more heat being trapped. This is what you would call global warming. So the difference between global warming and the greenhouse effect, right? The greenhouse effect involves the whole trapping. So it's basically the first part of this model. So the greenhouse effect, right, is the trapping of heat by the greenhouse gases in order for the earth to be warmed. Meanwhile, when there's global warming, right, there is an overdose in gases due to human activity, which causes less heat to escape onto space and more heat trapped on the Earth's surface, right? So there's an increase in temperatures. Good. Now, so this side of the model, which I explained, is the greenhouse effect, and this part of the model that I explained is global warming. It's the same thing, it's just that global warming is the hazardous stage, right? Where there's an overdose, right? Now you have many causes. You have many causes of global warming, right? You have many causes of global warming, right? So you could say that there's an increase in the production of fossil fuels. Yeah, fuels. Therefore, more, therefore, more, oops, therefore, more combustion takes place, right? Another cause is deforestation, right? When they're cutting down trees for commercial activities, such as um, such as housing, right? For housing or for development, certain developments such as businesses and so forth. So you have, and sometimes even ways of agriculture methods. A few agriculture methods, such as the slash and burn method, right? The burning of those, right? Those plants, right? Those weeds, in order to, well, in order, what they say. would add nutrients to the soil. I don't know. But some methods of agriculture, it can contribute to global warming, because when you're burning, then you release carbon dioxide in the air, right? Right? Coal burning, yes, which would come under, well, yeah, coal burning. You also have basically industrial in industrial areas such as China, right, where a lot of combustion takes place, right? There's a lot of polluted air there, and therefore, since it's polluted, and since there's a lot of burning of fossil fuels, then you would have a greater percentage of carbon dioxide, right? Now, one of these countries that you would say is China, right? So it has a rapid expanding industry of coal burning, right? So it contributes significantly to the global warming. And also countries such as India, Brazil, and China, with those large populations. Now, we in the Caribbean, we would contribute, right? We'd produce less than 0.1% of global greenhouse gases, right? That's how little we would produce. However, for the more industrial countries, since they are the manufacturers of oil and all of those things, then they would produce more carbon dioxide. No. We'll be looking at the effects of global warming, right? Now, scientists now generally agree that there would be changes to world climate, right? Now, some effects of global warming include, right? Rising sea temperature. So, rising sea temperatures, right? So, this means that the water or in the oceans, they would expand. Now, scientists think that this can cause an average sea level rise of probably about zero point 0.4 meters in the century, right? So, because you have rising sea temperatures and so forth, then you will have the melting of ice caps and glaciers, right? No, what would happen is that this causes sea level to rise, right? And it can rise as much as 5 meters, right? And it will cause severe challenges or severe problems for normally about 40% of the world's population living within 100 kilometers of the coast, right? So extensive flooding would occur. Now, there would be a change in rainfall patterns, right? Now, these countries that normally get a lot of rainfall, they would likely to get more, while those with not enough rainfall would likely to get less, right? So, if in thinking about it, why would this be so, right? If there's a rising in sea temperature, right? If there's a rising in sea temperature, right? Especially for the Atlantic Ocean, right? More low pressure systems would occur. When there are more low pressure systems, therefore, right, more hurricanes, and of course, with the ITCZ, right, while it's expanding or while it's decreasing, some countries, right, it it would be affected greatly by the ITCZ, and the ITCZ can also shift, or the ITCZ can also change its pattern yearly because of the change in temperatures, because the ITCZ, it basically dependent on the temperature of the equator, right? And sometimes when you notice the changing or the increasing in sea temperatures, then sometimes you can also have the expanding of the hurricane season, or the hurricane season can be pushed up. So instead of from June to November for the Caribbean, it can be from March to September, right? It can be pushed up because there is a low pressure system. Because of the rising sea temperature, there's a low pressure system which would result in the creation of hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. Not only in the Atlantic Ocean, but also in the Gulf of Mexico, right? No, this can change the rainfall patterns for many countries, right? So like the rainy seasons for each countries can shift. And even because of the change in the temperatures, it can also cause a shift in the climate, such as where for autumn. Now, autumn, if there is a change in the temperature, autumn would be a little warmer. And the same thing for winter, right? And it can even go as far as the winter being not being cold at all, right? So there are many things that can affect the rainfall patterns. There are many things. There are numerous, right? So in thinking about it, it just has to deal with the rising sea temperature, and you know, yeah. So I think I explained a little over the change in rainfall patterns, but that's okay because at least you guys would have a better understanding of what I am saying, right? No, the adapt no wildlife, right, would not have a chance. The wildlife not having a chance to adapt to changes. So wildlife not having a chance to adapt to changes in the environment, right? So changes in the temperature, I should say, right? So meanwhile, they have constant changing of temperature. Especially for animals such as birds, right? Birds, you'd tend to have less migration of birds because of the rise in temperatures. They would not see the need to migrate. However, negatively, some animals, they cannot survive under some temperatures. So some temperatures, such as maybe 50 degrees or so, some animals, they cannot, right, their body cannot adapt. Maybe they can adapt, but because of the how quickly or how rapidly there's a change in temperature, the animals are not given enough time to adapt to the change in temperature, so this can affect them, right? Growing crops in countries, the rest I'm going to be explaining it, right? No, the um growing in crops, right? When you have growing crops, right? You have falling crop yields in countries that would have problems, right, feeding their people, right? So basically, what this means is that because of the changes in temperature, then you'd have more droughts, right? So, and you'd have more bushfires, right? So it's like some crops would be affected by various diseases because some bacteria and some viruses are attracted by heat, right? And some diseases are attracted by heat. So therefore, sometimes more diseases would occur for the crops, right? More bushfires, right? Less water, right? And the transpiration rate would increase, right? Transpiration rate of plants. Um, and other things. So this would cause a country to have less crops, right? In order to feed their people. More people around the world at risk of diseases, right? Such as malaria, dengue, fever, and cholera, right? Now, the effects of global warming in the Caribbean. Knowing since August 2005, right, the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center has been putting forward the region's views on global warming and trying to put pressure on international organizations such as the United Nations to act to stop it happening. Right? This is because any rise in sea level or increase in sea temperatures could have disastrous consequences for Caribbean economics. Of course, we know because we're islands, right? We would suffer, and we can have less island space because, believe it or not, because of the rising in sea temperatures, some parts of the coast can sink, right? Now, rising sea levels will flood low-lying areas or low-lying islands and countries. It can ruin beaches and basically threaten hotel and damaging the tourism industry, right? Now, the warming of the Caribbean Sea causes the bleaching of the corals, right? So, which are important to fishing. Now, no coral bleaching, right? It has a is it can have a very, disastrous effect because many farmers, the coral reefs, it houses as a habitat, it's a habitat to thousands and thousands of species of organisms, right? From which those fishes can feed. Now, when this coral reef is bleached, then there would be less food for those other fishes, and of course, the population would decrease, right? Now, this affects the fishing, right? The fishing part of the tourism sector, because some tourists, they often like to partake of our fishes or tropical fishes, right? But if the corals are bleached, then less there would be less fishes, right? Now, in the last decade, more than 300 kilometers of Belize Barrier Reef has been bleached, and it could die. Now, a further temperature rise of 1 degree Celsius could bleach 80% of coral reefs worldwide. That's how delicate it is. Right now, as oceans get warmer, the tropical storms, as I said before, the tropical storms would become more violent and hurricanes would produce more powerful winds. Costly damage to buildings and roads would become worse in the more frequent storms. I, I kind of explained this earlier, right? Now, I'll be explaining one aspect of global warming in the Caribbean. So I'm gonna draw an island. Pretend that this island is Guyana. No, let me not say Guyana. Right? Is Grenada. Yes. Pretend that this island is Grenada. This is Grenada, and the area around it is the sea. So it has the sea around it. This is the coast, the sea around it. Now, if we continue, right? If there's a rise in sea temperature, right? This is Grenada. Pretend that it's the exact same drawing. Wait, let me redo it. This is Grenada, right? Pretend that it's the exact same drawing, right? I'm just trying to bring out a point. This would be the results in about this would be the results if oh this would be the results if there's a rise of 50 meters, right? If you noticed, most of the coast is covered. Now, this is very crucial to the Caribbean. This can affect the Caribbean, right? So, as you see, there is flooding in the coastal areas, right, causing them to go under the water, right? So, therefore, there will be less island space, right? Now, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot from it. Thanks for watching.